It was supposed to be another peaceful spring morning. I had just brewed a cup of coffee and was easing into my favorite rocking chair on the porch of the old cabin my grandfather left me. The lake shimmered like it always did, framed by tall pines and silence. That peace shattered the moment I heard footsteps crunching down the gravel path. A woman in a pastel blue tracksuit and oversized sunglasses stormed up like she was heading to a courtroom and a tennis match at the same time. Clipboard in one hand, righteousness in the other. Without a hello, she pointed at my cabin and said, "This structure is on HOA managed land. You're trespassing." I stared at her, mug halfway to my lips. I blinked, set it down, and leaned against the porch rail. I'd dealt with people like her before, the kind who think rules are weapons and clipboards are swords. I didn't say a word. Silence unsettles the entitled. She called 911, right there on my porch. Said I was squatting in a restricted HOA cabin. The kicker? She was standing on land the HOA didn't even own. What she didn't know yet was that not only did I own the cabin she was yelling about, I also owned the entire northeastern shoreline of the lake. Every tree, every inch of dirt under her high heels. About 20 minutes later, Deputy Kyle Mills rolled up in a sheriff's SUV. I knew Kyle. Not well, but well enough to know he fished this lake every summer. Karen, because that's what I was calling her in my head, ran to him like a damsel in distress. Claimed I was refusing to leave community land. Kyle looked at me, then back at her, then at the cabin. "Ma'am," he said, keeping his voice calm. "How long has he been here?" "Long enough to build that thing," she snapped. Kyle suppressed a laugh. "This cabin's older than I am." Karen's face twitched. She demanded a formal investigation. She even showed Kyle photos of what she claimed was suspicious activity. It was a squirrel on my deck chair. Kyle turned to me. "Do you have proof of ownership?" I went inside and came back with a thick envelope, the deed, maps, and a letter from the county confirming that I owned the entire northeast side of the lake. Kyle flipped through it quietly. Karen tried to peek over his shoulder, but he turned away. After a moment, he handed it back and said, "Everything appears in order." Karen stammered, But our records say the HOA maintains that land." "Maintaining and owning aren't the same," Kyle replied. "She promised legal action." Kyle took a cup of coffee, wished me luck, and left. Karen stormed off, catching her heel on a tree root and nearly face-planting. The next day, she came back, this time with a man in a pinstripe shirt holding a leather folder, probably a junior HOA lawyer who looked like he regretted every life decision that got him here. Karen barked at me to vacate. The guy tried to hand me a letter. I asked if they'd spoken to the county clerk. Karen said they had and showed me a pink complaint form. I went inside and came back with the original parcel map from 30 years ago. I gave it to the lawyer. He compared it to his documents. After a few tense moments, he quietly said, "This shows you own all of this." And more. I nodded. Karen kept talking about bylaws and jurisdiction. He rolled up the map and muttered, "I think there's been a mistake." Then he walked away. She screamed after him, demanding he explain. He didn't. Just got in the car. She promised this wasn't over. I smiled and waved. 2 days later, I got an official HOA board meeting invitation. They were now calling it a land encroachment issue. The irony? Their clubhouse sat on land my grandfather had allowed them to use, no lease. No paperwork. Just goodwill. At the meeting, Karen acted like the queen of the HOA. She launched into a tirade about unauthorized use, safety hazards, and included a slideshow of my cabin with red circles around the chimney. When it was my turn, I plugged in a USB and let the drone footage do the talking. It showed parcel lines, timestamps, geotags, all of it proving my land extended beyond anything they claimed. Karen tried to say the footage was edited. I asked if she'd spoken to the county assessor. Silence. The board tabled the discussion. She had lost the room, but she didn't give up. She filed environmental complaints, said I was harming wildlife, claimed I caused shoreline erosion. I responded by submitting maintenance receipts, erosion control contracts, and photos of replanting work. The county clerk rolled her eyes and said, "She's digging. Be ready." The digging went too far when I heard chainsaws. Karen had hired a crew to cut down trees on my land. I filmed everything. Called Kyle. He showed up, took my footage, and within minutes, Karen was in handcuffs. With legal grounds now solid, I filed to restrict HOA access to the trail behind the clubhouse. That dock they loved? 6 feet into my land. I had every right to tear it down. The arrest spread fast. Residents reached out, some apologizing, some stunned. A motion was raised at the next HOA meeting, vote to remove Karen. It passed. Soon, I saw a for sale sign on her lawn. She left quietly, but not before slipping a letter under my door. It said, "I never expected to lose everything over a cabin. Maybe one day you'll understand what it's like to have something taken from you." I placed the letter beside my grandfather's will. Weeks later, the county held a Shoreline celebration in my land. At my suggestion, families came. Students studied the lake. A local news station aired the event. Karen watched from the shadows of the clubhouse window. She didn't come outside. By the end of the day, the county presented me with an updated jurisdiction map. HOA authority officially ended at my fence line. Karen faded from memory. Her house sold. Her name erased from HOA minutes. I stayed. Replanted trees. Reinforced fences. Donated a portion of land for education. Kept the rest untouched. The cabin now hosted veterans and families' quiet guests who left behind thank you notes in a journal. One night, I found a note in my grandfather's cabin sketchbook. I'd never noticed it before. Build it with quiet hands. Let it speak on its own. And it did. Through every season. Every storm. Because what was built with care doesn't crumble under noise. It waits. Patient and still. Until the world finally listens.